Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our Stronger Together series. We've given these events this title because finding shared solutions to the challenges we all face is perhaps more important than ever. We found ourselves in a situation that the world has never experienced before. Most parts of the globe are in freeze frame, and we are all affected by the impact of this unforeseen pandemic. Such a pervasive problem will only be addressed if we all pull together and find a united way forward, and that is why we've convened these sessions. Now, with that in mind, there are two key things we'd like to achieve in each of our webinars. Firstly, we'd like to provide an update on the actions and initiatives that we are involved in and give you a sense of how we are supporting our host communities, the wider diamond industry, our colleagues, and our business. Secondly, we'd love to hear from you in the wider industry and discuss ways that people and businesses are dealing with the current health crisis so that we have opportunity to learn from each other. And so it's our intention in this series to cover a range of topics in the coming weeks, including updates on the state of the market, innovation, finance, people, marketing, and of course, branding. More details about these events will be shared with you in due course. So to begin with, I'd like to share some thoughts about how we at De Beers Group are responding to the challenges of COVID-19. Now, of course, one of the key challenges with the current situation is the lack of certainty and predictability about how things will develop from here. No one really knows how long the emergency measures in place around the world will last, and no one knows the eventual health and economic toll of the pandemic. In such an environment, where there are so many things outside of our control, we think that it's important to focus on what we can control so that we can maximize our chances of responding positively to the crisis, whatever the eventual outcome. So we see our role at De Beers as being really threefold. The first and by far the most important role is doing what we can to help keep our people safe. Reflecting on this, we have, as you would expect, followed all relevant government and World Health Organization advice for all of our operations and all of our communities and employees around the world. We are working across parts of our business to develop approaches designed to minimize infection rates and stem the spread of the virus as much as humanly possible. Now, because so many of the host communities around our operations rely on us for a range of vital services, as you would expect, we are working with key stakeholders to find the right way to continue this support. The support that we are providing, of course, varies between countries due to the nature of their individual needs. Nevertheless, I'd like to just take a moment to outline what we're doing in the four main countries where we operate. To date, we have committed as De Beers more than $5 million to COVID response in the countries and communities in which we live and work, in Botswana, in Canada, in Namibia, and in South Africa. This support is focused really on three phases: prevention, response, and of course, recovery. The support has been deployed in a variety of ways across different countries in which we operate. In Botswana, we have contributed 20 million pula to aid the government of the Republic of Botswana in their response to the crisis. 10 million pula of this has been injected into the Botswanan COVID-19 Relief Fund already, and a further 10 million pula has been given as logistical, supply, and community support. Debswana, our 50-50 joint venture with government, is providing local government with financial support to assist with procurement of supplies in a roughly similar amount, as well as donating much needed items to government. In Canada, we've asked all employees living in remote communities, which have limited medical facilities, to return home and stay there to avoid the risk of bringing an infection back to a community. And we've adapted our shift patterns for workers at the Gachagua mine to minimize the amount of travel required. In Namibia, Namdeb Holdings and the Debmarine Namibia Namdeb Foundation are providing support by ordering 30 ventilators and vital signs monitors for local hospitals, mainly in Windhoek and Oranje, co-funding a sanitation program in Windhoek's informal settlements, where households are at very high risk due to the lack of sanitation services and inability to self-isolate, by providing fresh water taps. This so far has resulted in 2,600 taps, reaching 7,800 households and around 23,000 residents. In South Africa, we've provided over 5,000 masks and over 1,000 litres of sanitizer to various hospitals, such as the Messina Hospital, the Blouberg Hospital, the Louis Trichardt Provincial Hospital, and the medical centres at Alldays and at the Robert Sobukwe Hospital. We're also working with a range of organisations to help support disaster relief efforts by, for example, donating 1,000 food parcels to disadvantaged families in Messina local municipality areas and also in the Blouberg municipality. Over and above this, we are procuring state-of-the-art PCR machines for Botswana, South Africa and Namibia for use in the country. The first of these was delivered to Botswana earlier this week and is to be situated in the National Health Laboratory, and others will be arriving soon in Namibia and South Africa. These highly sought after and sophisticated machines will play a vital role by not only providing the means to safely, reliably and quickly test for COVID-19, but importantly to also help understand the virus better and inform both responses to the pandemic and plans to manage its impact. As well as obtaining these difficult to source machines, we have also trained the technicians who will now use them. All of this work is of course vital, not just because it's the right thing to do for our communities who depend on us for our operations, for so much of their vital services and economic support, but also, of course, because it's the right thing to do for the whole industry. It's only by supporting the sustainability of our host communities that we can ensure we're in the right position to support the recovery when it arrives, as it of course will. By investing in these communities' futures now, we are of course investing in the future of our sector. Now, beyond the work we're doing to help keep our people and communities safe, our second focus, of course, is standing alongside the industry in support. We have again demonstrated our commitment to acting quickly and decisively to support both our own and our customers' businesses by offering increased flexibility. Recognizing that our customers' needs are changing rapidly, we made sure we communicated in a timely manner that we would offer full deferral flexibility. We did this because we wanted to reassure our customers that we would be supporting their needs at this challenging and unpredictable time. We also recognize that different customers will be in different places, so we will seek innovative ways to meet rough diamond supply needs and demonstrate agility and flexibility when responding to developments in the coming weeks and months. Paul will talk to you in a bit more detail about the various ways we have offered support to our customers. Again, this is important not just for supporting the needs of our partners and their businesses, but it's crucial for the entire sector. Each part of the pipeline requires the others if it is to succeed. So we are committed to supporting a healthy, sustainable midstream. We showed this last year with the flexibility we put in place during a very challenging period for the industry. And we will continue to show it again through this more widespread challenge. And as I mentioned at the start of my comments today, this crisis affects each and every one of us. So we need to work together to find common solutions to support all of our needs. Our third area of focus at De Beers Group is preparing for the future. Following a tough year, as I said earlier, for the diamond industry in 2019 and before COVID-19 took hold, it's worth remembering that the state of the diamond industry was improving by year end. Rough diamond sales were growing, polished prices had stabilized and started to tick up. Downstream demand reports over the selling season were positive. Midstream inventories were worked down and are substantially lower than they were 12 months ago. Meanwhile, we know how retail consumers still feel about diamonds and their symbolism when it comes to things like relationships, appreciation, and self-reward. They all offer positive potential for the future of demand. Perhaps most encouraging, of course, is how quickly diamonds have recovered from past demand shocks. During historic economic disruption, although diamond sales fell, they not only recovered quickly, but they were back to and sometimes ahead of the levels seen before the period of the recession started. This is evident in all of our data on all of the US recessions that started in the last 50 years, including 1973, 1980, 1990, 2000, and 2008. And the same trend of a negative impact on sales during a recession, followed by a quick recovery, can be seen in the more distant US recessions of 1907, 1918, 1929, 1963, and 1963. And this is not only true of the US market. Diamond sales fell during the Asia-Japan financial crisis in 1997, but quickly recovered and rebounded after that. So with this background in mind, we've been drawing on the very latest intelligence, our experience, a large medical team, our deep understanding of consumer needs, and our own experience of previous demand shocks to develop a number of scenarios for the re-emergence of demand once lockdowns are eased and the retail environment in different geographies begin to open up. We are working on ensuring that we are prepared and ready to support crucial economic recovery in the countries in which we operate and in our partners' businesses. To inform these decisions, we monitor closely several areas of activity. Some of them are, for example, in China, we know that shoppers have begun to return to luxury goods and to diamonds in particular. We expect to see pent-up demand being realized as several bridal seasons are compressed into one during the second half of the year, and people look to self-reward following the crisis. We are also seeing the importance of brands being maintained. This crisis, we think, has forced people to examine what is important in their lives, and this, of course, will include what they purchase. Diamonds have always represented a store of value, but increasingly we see brands as offering a store of values. Those brands that entered the crisis with a strong emotional connection to their consumers will be more resilient coming out the other side. And our own experience in China is that De Beers Jewelers, Forevermark and Libertem are coming back probably more rapidly than we had anticipated. A unique diamond moment. This is an unprecedented moment for the world. It's an economic crisis, but it's a health crisis, and it's much more. It's certainly a crisis of connection. We think that as people re-emerge from lockdown, they will seek to celebrate those relationships that are the most meaningful, the most important to them. And we think diamonds will play an important part in that ritual. So to support the recovery when it comes, we are therefore devising spend on marketing so that we are prepared when people come back to buying. This approach requires spending at the right time to maximize the impact of our marketing by investing when consumers can express demand, ensuring we communicate on the right types of channels to reflect any shifts from those who would have traditionally bought goods in bricks and mortar retail outlets but are now looking to buy online, targeting of spending in a way to reflect that different consumers in different locations will have experienced different impacts at different times, and of course targeting campaigns to better reflect the products that customers are seeking and the price points at which they're seeking them, and then tailoring our marketing accordingly. Planning for the recovery is vital for us, and it's a vital part of our role. While we don't know when it will come, we do know, of course, that it will come. The key is to make sure that we as an industry have done all we can to make sure we are in the best possible place to respond when it does. Inevitably, the world will have changed. But if we can be ready to respond to the changed environment, we can ensure that diamonds play an even more meaningful role in people's lives. None of us in our lifetimes have experienced a public health crisis like the one we're currently living through. These are tough times for all of us, professionally as well as personally. But for the reasons I've outlined, at De Beers Group, we remain confident that if we stand together, this industry will emerge from this period of uncertainty in a sustainable and assured way. And with the longer term demand potential, it has an opportunity to become stronger even than it has before. I'm now going to hand over to Paul, who'll discuss with you rough sales, production, and he has some important news here, and supply, and of course the continued importance of underlining our ethical standards through compliance with our best practice principles. Thank you once again for joining us today. We do appreciate it. I look forward to taking your questions later and to hearing from you in the coming weeks and months as we navigate our way through these challenging times. Paul?
Thanks, Bruce, and let me also welcome you all to our Stronger Together series. Diamonds are uniquely connected to the notion of togetherness, unity and collaboration, and we've never needed those attributes like we need them today. The industry as a whole can be so much stronger than the sum of its parts, and we therefore look forward to discussing with you how we can all play our parts to ensure we harness the potential of the entire sector in navigating our way through the current challenges, and then shaping a successful place for diamonds in the new normal as we gradually emerge in the weeks and months to come. As Bruce mentioned, today I'm going to discuss some elements of the industry that will, I'm sure, be important factors in our futures, like rough sales, production and supply, and indeed the very important part of complying with the best practice principles. But before I do that, I think I'd just like to take a moment just to appeal to everyone to stay safe. Just as the threat of the virus is not isolated to one region or demographic, the spread of COVID-19 will also not be stopped by any one individual, and it can only be defeated if we all stand and work together. So please do what you can to play your individual part in protecting society more widely. With the impact of the virus in mind, let me move on to just highlighting some issues and thoughts around rough diamond sales. And I'm sure that there's no one on the call today that's not aware that these are extremely challenging times for rough sales. Never before have we had a situation where the industry has been subject to such an all-encompassing stasis, almost halt to activities. However, as we've demonstrated during the industry-specific challenges of last year, at De Beers Group, we're ready to act quickly and decisively when needed to support the industry's needs. Our approach to the fight against COVID-19 is no different, and we already have done this in a number of ways, with a central pillar being unprecedented flexibility for our customers. At a time when plans change not only by the week, but by the day, or even as we see these days, by the hour at times, flexibility is a vital tool in our armoury. We believe that maintaining options is extremely valuable at a time like this, and it benefits no one if the upstream limits the options of the midstream, or vice versa for that matter. This increased flexibility has taken a number of forms during this current crisis, and we demonstrated our commitment to timely and decisive action when on February the 25th, we announced that we were to allow customers with allocations of goods typically sold to the Chinese market, that at the time was the market that was specifically affected, that they could defer those allocations to a future site. At the following site, we gave our customers the option to defer up to 100% of their allocations and offered further flexibility in the form of extended buybacks. However, with restrictions on the movement of people and products, meaning we were unable to hold Site 3, it meant that these didn't all come into effect as we potentially expected and hoped, but we continue to focus on what we need to do to support our customers. And reflecting this, as we look forward to Site 4, we've also extended the deadline for submitting applications for goods until May the 3rd. Further flexibility will also be available during this site in the form of, again, extended buybacks. Also, to those unable to attend the site, we'll hope to give them purchase confidence in whatever way we can. However, as the global impact of this COVID-19 continues to develop on a daily basis, I'm sure you'd expect us to be continually monitoring the situation, and of course we are, and we're prepared to adapt or modify our approach to Site 4 as and when necessary. Beyond site flexibility, we've also been looking at ways that we might lighten the load on our customers, give them more time to focus on supporting their core business. And as a result, we decided to temporarily pause the new supply contract application process. Elsewhere in De Beers, we're also offering other support. Our colleagues in the De Beers Group Institute of Diamonds, for example, recognising that the current global health crisis is having an impact on the industry at all levels, are offering free access to their online-only Diamond Foundation course. The course provides an overview of the entire diamond pipeline, from diamond exploration and rough diamond sorting to jewellery and retail and contemporary and synthetic diamond detection. And it's hoped that this opportunity will enhance the knowledge and focus of those working in the diamond industry during these challenging times. Let me take a moment now to discuss production, not only our own production, but also that of the industry more broadly. As many of you have heard last week, in response to the impact of COVID-19 on mining operations, wholesale trading activity and consumer traffic in our key consumer markets, we have revised our production guidance at De Beers for 2020 down by 7 million carats to 25 to 27 million carats. The previous forecast being 32 to 34 million carats. So we've already removed nearly a quarter of our guided output for the year. In line with my previous comments about the importance of flexibility, our production forecast also remains, of course, subject to continuous review, based on how the COVID-19 impact develops, as well as the timing and, of course, scale of the recovery in trading conditions. We've also seen the introduction of operational changes across the wider industry, with various producers placing operations either into care and maintenance, but also publishing some revised production forecasts for the year themselves. Some of these have included Petra Diamonds, who announced it would scale down to operate at the minimum level in order to comply with the 21-day lockdown in South Africa. Rio Tinto scaled back activities at its Falcon exploration project in Canada, and Stornoway operations are suspended and gone into care and maintenance. Gem Diamonds placed Letsen on temporary care and maintenance to comply with the Lesotho government's 3-week lockdown, and Dominion announcing that it's suspending all operations at Ekati, and we've yet to understand when that would reopen. And of course, Firestone Diamonds have suspended operations, save for essential care and maintenance services and security, at its Likobong mine in Lesotho for the last 3 weeks. While we all know that lockdowns in consumer markets are having a major impact on the downstream sales in the short term, it's clear that supply will also see a major reduction in 2020 and potentially beyond. It's incumbent upon the various parts of the value chain to make sure we each keep in place the flexibility that will enable us to respond effectively once we see conditions begin to change. We've seen things change very quickly in recent weeks, and if things continue to develop at such a pace, it is only by keeping options open that we'll be able to do what is needed to support the changing requirements of the various stages in this pipeline. And I want to finish really by just pressing home the importance of all of us in the diamond industry maintaining the high standards that we have worked so hard to achieve. For years, people across our industry have been working tirelessly to introduce standards that we, our partners, our communities, and all of our customers have come to expect as a bare minimum. Any deviation from this, no matter how small, has potential to cause significant damage to all of us. So I appeal to us all at this time to ensure that colleagues remain focused on meeting the requirements of the best practice principles. If anything, the current situation has reinforced that importance of businesses being able to show that they are making the world a better place. So our efforts in this area must be maintained. And I'd also like to emphasise the continued importance at this time of the Responsible Jewellery Council. Now in its 15th year, the RJC has throughout this period produced robust sets of standards that members are required to comply with, and the leading standards supporting the industry to demonstrate the high ethical standards that we hold ourselves to. I think as Bruce mentioned earlier, let's face it, despite things feeling bleak at this time, at De Beers we are strongly of the view that we will all pull together and support each other, and that our industry has a truly bright future. Let's not forget that for centuries, the industry has proven itself to be incredibly resilient, just like the miracles of nature that we hold so dear to our hearts, that we survived world wars, economic depressions, large-scale social change, and so much more. And likewise, we will survive this latest test of our mettle, because we will pull together and will ensure that our relationships are indeed the foundation stones of our future.